Can you kill the lights?
Welcome to Kill the Lights. This is another episode, but today we are joined by a special guest from the Grimcast podcast. Say hello to Antoinette.
What's up?
Yeah, this is me, Carl, and today we are subbing for my co-host, Joey Dizon. We are talking about the Grudge 2019, the newest, how do you call it, side installment of the famous J-horror franchise that has been Americanized, Hollywoodized, and actually, in our opinion, somebody should put a knife in this franchise.
Like bastardized.
Super bastardized, watered down. Okay, before we get into the Grudge American Remake 2019, let's go into what the Grudge franchise is as a J-horror series. The first Grudge was all about a cursed house, and when somebody comes in, the ghosts, the angry ghosts, curse you because they have died in anger. The now classic images from that movie include the hands massaging the back of your head while you are in the shower, cheeky ghosts. And then the iconic cat-like sound that emanates from the boy ghost's throat, which is like something between a Tuvan throat singer and an Appalachian yodeling, I think. Okay, so the current, that's it. I mean, the old Grudge wasn't exactly on the top shelf of the J-horror movement that includes The Ring and Uzumaki from Junji Ito, stuff like that. Very, very top shelf good stuff. Shudder. Yeah, that time when the Asian horror wave was on the cresting, and it was huge, right? So the current Grudge is taken off from that one. The first Grudge wasn't exactly on the top shelf, but it was good meat and potatoes, jump scare horrors all throughout. The current one by director Nicolas Pesci is still about a haunted house, but it is now set in America. It stars Andrea Riseborough as the detective who gets embroiled in the case of the dead folks who eventually end up inhabiting the house and end up killing whoever goes in there. Stars John Cho, who is married to Betty Gilpin from Glow.
Ah, yes.
The interracial couple. There is, of course, Lynn Shay. She is now known as one of the icons of the American horror because she, how do we call it? She portrays a lot of old,
creepy ladies that foreshadow the end of
She was in It. She was in It.
What? Oh yeah, she was
the grandmother.
She was the creepy grandmother in the background,
crawling around.
Yeah. Okay.
So all the killings that have occurred in that haunted house, they all stay there. And anybody that goes in, the ghostly curse gets passed for anyone who dares enter it. What did you think, Antoinette, after you watched it? Oh, sorry. Quick trivia. Sam Raimi was producing
Yes, he produced it, which is actually why we were I was interested to like tag along. Thank you, by the way, for tagging us along.
Awesome time.
And the poster was actually really interesting because it actually uses it looked like real hair, just like dripping down. So, ooh, creepy. And so once we're actually in there, I don't know.
How did you find the story? It was confusing, right?
Story-wise, I don't think it made sense. All right, cool. There's a house.
In a couple of sentences, what did you think the story was about? Since it's apparently there's 4 families involved in this one.
That's the thing. It's there's no completely linear story because once something's happening, suddenly this other thing starts happening. And then by the way, there's this other thing. So what? And it's it's all just engineered for jump scares.
So let's break that down. Antoinette.
Right. Sure.
There's the black and it's black and white. So there's the Mathesons. That's the old black and the grandmother.
Yes, the Caucasian lady.
Yeah, the Caucasian lady and the black dude who are living there. I think it was the 70s, right?
Yeah.
Seemed like the 70s. So then there's the Spencers. That is John Cho and Betty Gilpin.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the Landers, who lives there with their daughter, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is, of course, Andrea Riseborough, who plays Muldoon, the rookie detective, who tries to string it all together.
Right.
Did that make sense at the start?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Like, I didn't know what I was actually following.
Yeah.
And then, oh, by the way, there's this whole new subplot. Oh, lots of jump scares in that subplot. And then we move on to this other part. I don't know. It's just like, was it all necessary?
Were you scared?
Honestly, like, I thought that I was going to be, and I was preparing to sleep like an evening with all the lights on.
Yeah, you told me.
Like, I was telling you, right? This is what happens to me in horror movies.
Yeah.
It sticks to me and all that.
The imagery just haunts you.
I mean, honestly, during the movie, the jump scares were jumpy, but
yeah,
like as soon as I got home, I was like, I
didn't stay with you, right?
I feel nothing.
Yeah.
Like nothing stayed with me. I wasn't creeped out. The lights were off when I went to sleep. I totally forgot about it the next day. The only reason I have to remember it again is for this show.
Okay, take note, Sam Raimi and director Nicolas Pesci. This is how you don't do a horror movie. It was so disappointing for me because I did like The Grudge. And,
right.
And coming into this, there's John Cho, there's Betty Gilpin, there's Andrea Riseborough, and it's produced by Sam Raimi. Those on paper are like ingredients for at least a decent horror movie, right?
Right. And from the source material, it's so rich.
Yes.
Because it actually like it's brought about some of the most iconic images in horror movie history with the whole, washing shampoo.
Yeah, which one should you like? Were you scared by that? Like, oh, suddenly fingers on the back of John Cho's head.
Honestly, what I felt was like, oh, there it is.
Like, hey,
I know that one.
I know that one. So it was like more, the trivia. There's like they're ticking off a set of boxes.
Kinda. But, and also, well, I don't know if this is the right time to bring it up, but like the pacing of jump scares, like you just know when it's going to happen.
Yeah, you told me. The beats of like, you can count it down, right? Oh, the next scare is coming. Be ready.
And it's so obvious with like the sound design. I mean, maybe that was the point to increase tension. But honestly, it kind of just became a beacon like, oh, hey, a jump scare is coming.
I think this is taking off from that. I think this is asymptomatic of a lot of bad Hollywoodizations, not just in general for like mainstream movies, like The Departed, From Infernal Affairs, the Hong Kong hard-boiled thriller, but in general, American directors and Americans in general, why do they feel the need to reinvent, to re-mythologize folklore, especially horror folklore that is set in a foreign exotic country?
Right.
Which only works because so.
Right.
First of all, can't be heavy-handed because shots are long. The music is almost non-existent sometimes. Characters live in a magic realist kind of setting. So it makes sense because the world is topsy-turvy and distorted. But the Americans, they all live in this normal picket fence kind of setting milieu, right?
And that said, does it always just have to be about the house? Like, isn't it about the curse brought about by the people in the house? So it
follows you everywhere.
It follows you everywhere, whether or not you're in the house or not. And it's supposed to be about what happened to those people, why that curse happened. And you don't really get any of that information until like the last sliver in the movie. And it's not even like it's like a direct spoon feed of this is why things are fucked up.
It kind of feels like vodka that's been super watered down and then you put ice on it. It's like, is it even liquor, man?
Right. And specifically with that part, I really I think it's supposed to like creep people out, but honestly, my main reaction to the whole, I want to show you something, like that was leading her through the house and supposedly through the story.
Why should you be creeped out by that?
I feel no empathy for this person because you're literally following a disembodied voice into a creepy house. Like, who makes these decisions?
It's like one of those, don't go in there, but the voice is telling me to.
Yeah. Like, here's the basement door. Go for it.
Yeah. One of the most, I think for this one of the scariest supposedly images is the spoiler grandmother chopping her own fingers and eating them, right?
Sure, but that's like more gore than
scares.
Mumu, right?
Yeah.
Than like ghosts or like something scary like trying to get you.
Mhm.
Like it's just really bizarre. So it doesn't like how does it tie back into the curse of the house and how it follows you?
I would have loved to know more about the ecology of it,
Yeah,
the
sure.
nature, the root of the evil,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. Like, why is that house weird? Why is supposedly the agent who worked on the case when it was in Japan flew home and it followed her into that house. But like, why that house? Why not the airplane she was in?
Mm-hmm.
Why not the airport she went through?
Why
That
not-
would have been really like,
Why
you know.
not all the tourists from Japan? Why don't they get cursed all the time? Because there's a hell of a lot of ghosts in Japan.
right. Exactly. So like, I guess there's a lot of holes that you could poke into it, but probably whoever wrote it is like, just stop asking questions and accept the story, man. There's a ghost. It wants to kill you.
I am reminded when because you got interested with it, like because it was Sam Raimi, right?
Right.
Oh, it should be fun. Like
It should be fun. Like I love Drag Me to Hell and like all of that.
Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Right. It's almost satire because of its richness. It's saccharine, right? There's so much over the top going on. Like this can't be real. Oh, it's so fun because it's not really
Exactly.
scary.
But it wasn't fun. It was annoying.
One of the biggest disappointments I had was Andrea Riseborough because she's such a great actress and she ends up just opening doors, trying to look like creeped out with her trembling lips. And it's like, you were scared of that?
And like I didn't root for her.
No, I didn't root for her. I wanted her to die. The most interesting thing was the grandparents, the black guy and the old woman.
Yeah.
They could have stuck with those and the movie would have been made.
Like it's actually interesting how like the husband was very, concerned for the wife and just wanted to like find a way for her to be at peace. Like that was an interesting like narrative storyline. And then the old cop, that was interesting. But with Andrea Riseborough's like Detective Muldoon, I wasn't rooting for her because she wasn't making decisions that I thought made sense or as a detective. And she was like, I guess to move the plot forward, being emotional. And of course, you're off the case. But no, I'm not off the case. I want to pursue.
At the very least, it's such a waste of police resources for her to be pursuing dead people in a dead part of, in a house that's empty, right?
Yeah. And then, by the way, you also bring your kid there while you're going to burn it. Like,
there you go.
Irresponsible parenting.
Yes. That was like such a big thing for me. Maybe you should have left him at the park or something. It would have been safer.
Maybe not the park in the middle of the night, but like, I don't know, neighbor you're friendly with.
Yeah, it was in the middle of the night. She didn't even go in the morning. She wanted to burn the house down, right?
And then, by the way, I think I see a ghost out on my patio. What am I going to do? Go out on the patio to check it out. Why? And another issue that I'm having a bit of a rant.
Yeah.
Do they just not like spending on electricity, or are they trying to save money on some lights?
Yes, I didn't get that.
The moment normal reactions are like the moment you see a ghost, fucking all the lights are on in this household.
She kept turning off the lights.
Exactly.
Like, didn't you just see a ghost? Maybe you should. One of the advancement of humanity is we no longer need to live in the dark.
Electricity,
You did pay your electricity, right, American? There was a scene, right, where Muldoon actually discovers that the previous owner, she finally tracks down the previous owner. What's his name? His name is Wilson. She visits him in the asylum. And he tells her that all the people who enter the house, so basically it's an info dump of the curse. All the people who enter the house will become victims of the curse.
No, he's the cop that used to work the case before
her.
So from what I remember,
he was also obsessed.
He was her partner now. That partner's former partner who went off the rails was that guy because he worked the case in that house.
Yes.
And he got super obsessed with it and he went crazy.
He found out about Japanese connection.
Yeah. And then he just couldn't let it go. And then he was institutionalized.
My question is, why didn't he go the fuck to Japan? Walang budget.
What? Budget cuts?
No budget
I don't
cuts.
know.
You cannot go to Japan on police, a police dime.
Or maybe the last time that happened, they lost an officer.
An officer.
So they're like, nobody goes to Japan anymore.
Tokyo is off limits, you guys. Bad sushi.
Yeah. So I guess overall,
Mhm.
so many things happening. What is like throughout the whole thing? What is the story actually? Who are we following? What is the goal at the end of the
Mhm.
day? Is it like, I mean, it's not like, how in The Ring, you just replicate the tape
Yeah.
and you
That
pass
gets
it on.
passed. It's a parable on how technology can also be a piece of folklore, right?
Right. But in The Grudge, is there anything in the mythology that's like
Mhm.
the moment that, like, how do you pass on this curse? How do you like get it off you?
Mhm.
Is there?
Yeah, there. I think in the original there was, solution to that because you need to think about the mythology and the folklore and because everything about the exorcism should be symbolic, right?
Right.
Because the ghosts die this way and they are angry
Yeah.
spirits, and you need to appease them, stuff like that. Blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember how they appeased it or if they could even be appeased, but it was such a powerful curse because the anger that emanates from this ghost, it is what they pass on to you like a virus. I think the main symbol was the house as somewhere you could feel safe in. And the house is no longer safe because you are seduced into it because it's nice. Nobody's living in it, and you can't fathom why nobody would live in this nice piece of real estate in the middle of Tokyo because it's haunted.
Mhm.
But now you are no longer comfortable in your house, and that is like the main thing that I got from the original was if you live here, living here means
Death.
living with anger and death because there is no house that is without death. Everybody, every house has, if you're a family, every house has a loved one that has died in there.
Sure.
That is at the root of the original. But this one is like an echo of an echo of a echo, I think. So for me, it was such a missed opportunity because so many layers. It's like a layered cake that is delicious with one layer, but then you put like M&Ms on another layer and sprinkles and then and another, there's cream. So there's like, I don't know what I'm eating anymore.
Exactly.
I thought it was just chocolate cake.
Like, where are we? Are we at the center of the cake? No, we're on the icing still.
There is a moment where Muldoon finds out that the original detective, Wilson, gouged his eyes out so he couldn't see them anymore.
Yeah.
But he could still feel them looking at him, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I thought that was supposed to be creepy, but again, another missed opportunity. So, Antoinette, should we stick a knife in this cursed movie franchise of Americans? I think there's a greater discussion here to be had in terms of just why do big Hollywood studios keep doing this?
Why do they feel the need to Americanize it? It doesn't make it better.
Doesn't make it better.
In very rare occasions, does it actually add anything to the story? Do they feel like the Japanese version wouldn't be palatable, or just Americans don't like
Is it
subtitles?
not as fun for Americans to watch this?
Or do they just want white people in it so that they can relate to, like, the original one is just as good. And I think they're having this conversation now with the whole Parasite thing, right? And I just thought that the resources, the creative energy that went into making this movie would have been better used doing something better.
Which is, of course, a couple of $1 million because you have like top Asian actors there.
Exactly. Right? It's just kind of a waste.
Is it, for my money, do you think it's a cultural and could be an arrogance index? Like Western people, I always illustrate it in a way that there's poetry of Basho, and Basho writes haikus that say, I am admiring a flower or a waterfall. But the American poet would say, let's pluck the flower, let's frolic in the waterfall.
Right.
It's a sensibility thing, do you think?
I don't know.
Why are they so bad at it? And why do they keep doing it, right?
I don't know. Look, I don't know. Maybe there is a market for it over there. Maybe this is how they enjoy these types of things, and we're not there because we're probably closer to the original like source material. We have a lot of similarities in terms of our mythology. So we understand how much like up to where we can take stories like this because it's in our culture. Maybe this is okay now with them. Maybe this is exactly how they want the sandwich package.
Maybe.
With the crust cut off, you know.
With mayonnaise slathered and mustard on it.
Sure. Maybe it's what works for that market, and maybe that's why these things keep getting done.
Could be. I don't buy it because, you know.
We don't buy it.
Like it's...
Right. I'm just really glad I didn't have to pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. So, out of 10, so we have a rating system in KDL, right?
Yeah.
From 1 being the worst and 10 being the best, where do you fall on The Grudge 2019?
Well, okay, it tried, right?
So hard.
So hard.
John Cho was like knocking on that door.
I mean,
so hardcore.
When he was on the screen, he was really cute. So that kind of like saved the movie
I was
a little.
Hey, Betty Gilpin, she's pretty, and like.
At least there's some eye candy here.
Maybe she'll die later in a gruesome fashion. That would be entertaining.
The shots were nice. Sound design was okay. You know, color grade. Like, but this is like, okay.
Would you watch it again for the pretty?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Not even on a bad day, right?
No, like this added no value to my life. It didn't even tell me, it didn't even tell me a good story.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, well, no.
You wouldn't say, hey, that's interesting. Maybe you should watch it to other people. No, you wouldn't say that at all.
No. Literally the next day, I went into the office and say, so you know how I was going to watch The Grudge last night? Don't watch it. If maybe it comes on streaming services later on and, you know, you have a subscription anyway and you're really, really bored,
maybe go watch it.
So ratings wise, I'm going to go somewhere between like a 3
or
a
wow.
2.
That bad, huh? Below average, way below average.
What value did it add to the mythology? What value did it add to horror movies in general? What value did it add to my life? I don't know. Are my standards too high for horror films? No, I think it's
absolutely justified. Totally. For me, I think I'd fall on a 4 because it could have been fun because it tried.
Yes.
There you go. The effort, I think, is commendable. But if in the hands of maybe a better director?
Well, I don't know about that, but maybe, who knows?
Yeah. But you're exactly right about the story and, you know, there was decent color grading.
Yeah.
There was decent sound editing, stuff like that. But the story was awful. Costume design. I mean, what kind of costume do you need? Like, you know, aside from the chopped fingers,
design.
You could easily, even like an amateur magician could like
bloody bathtub. All right, kind of creepy.
Yeah, why do people approach muddy bathtubs like, hey, what's in there?
Hey, let me put my face super near. Give it a whiff.
One of the worst moments for me was when Andrea Riseborough, Detective Muldoon, was trying to burn down the house. She didn't even start pouring the gas from the top floor. She started at the bottom, which would be an awful thing to do if you accidentally set fire to the whole thing. And only the first floor would be on fire and burn down. And then top floors are still, hey, the ghosts are up there.
Yeah, so I really I feel that what could have saved it, I don't know if it's another director, but it definitely was a better story. Like, I guess the actors did what they could with what they got, right? But
which wasn't much.
And I think this is the main danger with adapting something with such a rich mythology, porting it into your own and not giving it legs to stand on. It's like a floating torso. You know?
That is a funny image. Yeah, it is a funny image. Floating torso out of the dirty, muddy bath water. Yeah.
Though there was one legitimately creepy moment when it was like at the end, which is when she was like hugging her kid, but hey, it wasn't her kid.
Hey, it wasn't her kid.
Yeah, that was creepy. But that was because it was subtle.
Yes. Because you need feints, right? You need feints in horror movies for the jump scares.
Yeah.
Is it going to come? No, it's going to Conjuring was so good with that.
Right. Exactly. So
Conjuring 1, by the way, not the others.
yeah. So
So
that's
you
where
are
we're
at a 3 out of 10. I am a 4 out of 10. So we are in agreement. Don't watch this thing.
Don't watch the thing, man. Just watch something else.
If they say that you're going to be cursed if you don't watch this, you're better off cursed.
If you want something curse related and Sam Raimi related, watch Drag Me to Hell. That was great.
Yeah. Or the original Evil Dead series. Even the Ash vs. Evil Dead series.
Yeah.
You know. So, thank you so much to Antoinette of Grimcast, who has been with us through this awful retelling of a great original J-horror movie. Where can they reach you, Antoinette?
You can check out my show, Grimcast. It's basically where I have a bunch of friends come and tell me ghost stories. You can check us out on Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, and Google Podcasts, and anywhere basically that you like to get your podcasts. Also recorded, produced, and distributed by Big Baby Studios. Thanks, you guys.
Where else? It's a spooky podcast, so you guys better listen to it, or you will be cursed. Thank you so much, Antoinette.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. This is fun.
Cool. This has been the Kill the Lights podcast, and please, thank you so much for listening to us. If you have any suggestions as to what you'd like us to review or talk about, please tell us in Facebook or Instagram and follow us there on social media as well. Good night.
This has been the Kill the Lights podcast, recorded and produced at Big Baby Studios. You can follow us on Facebook and on Spotify if you want to check this out.